use me at your expense. They be on that pretense, we be on self-defense. Left you in the past tense, you could keep your 2 cents. I don't wanna be another target on a head list. All my people running around the city like some misfits. So I'm steady praying for my brothers like a wish list. Can I trust a soul? They gon' turn on you the quickest.
Baby, I see you hanging with your friends, chilling day and night for days on end. Now you can't come see me tonight. Say you ain't got the time. I'm the last one you prioritize. Peeping your IG pictures on my phone. I won't spend another night at home. Okay, I'ma just be on my way. You'll see I'm not the one you take for granted, babe. I know that life can be busy, love, but you make time for the ones you love. It's only right, it's what I deserve. Love, tell me what you done for me, done for me, done for me, done for me lately. Did your mind go on vacation, leaving your affection for me at home? Tell me what you done for me, done for me, done for me lately. Where's your heart and your attention? Where's the kind of love that I used to know? Baby, so can you take me on a date? The simple things you do to make me stay. Now it's like you don't even try. I used to wonder why, but now I'm left with no more tears to cry. I know that life can be busy, love, but you make time for the ones you love. It's only right, it's what I deserve. Love, tell me what you done for me, done for me, done for me, done for me lately. Did your mind go on vacation, leaving your affection for me at home? Tell me what you done for me, done for me, done for me lately. Where's your heart and your attention? Where's the kind of love that I used to know? If you want me the way I want you, put your all into all that you do. It's only right, it's what I deserve. Love, tell me what you done for me, done for me, done for me lately. Did your mind go on vacation, leaving your affection for me at home? Tell me what you done for me, done for me, done for me lately. Where's your heart and your attention? Where's the kind of love that I used to know?
a fabulous Friday. It was about 24 hours ago that we last spoke. Good morning to you. Before we get started, let me make sure I do a few things on my end about the show this morning. Good morning to you. What the hell's going on? Let's see here. Good morning. And good morning. We'll get the show started in about 90 seconds. Let's see, we still got only a few people in the room this morning. Let's give it a couple of minutes. I'm going to give you a chance to, if you will, please like it, in particular, share today's show. It means everything, folks. Good morning to you. And we'll get started here in about 2 minutes.
If I gave you my heart, you could tear it apart. And if I tell you how I feel, would you be good to me? Good to me. How nice if I just could let you in. I know you could be my remedy. How long will you keep trying? I know it's not, babe, it's not easy. I guess deep down inside, I know you could be my remedy.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Good morning. Man, it is a beautiful Friday. Great to be alive. I've been up for a minute this morning, getting it in every single morning. Got to get it in. I kind of stepped away during July 4th, not in terms of my eating habits, but just like my normal routine. You know, when you go out of town, it interrupts your normal routine. I'm a creature of habit. Good morning to you. So here we are, a week removed. And I'm just now getting back into the groove of things, but it feels good nonetheless. On today's show, among other things, I got a lot of things to talk about. But a young woman posted a TikTok video asking for advice on how to deal with her racist neighbors. That's right. It was a TikTok video. That's an official platform now. And you just won't believe what her neighbors allegedly, again, you're only getting one side of the story, but allegedly, you won't believe what allegedly her neighbors are doing to her and her family. It's like something straight out of a movie. Like there was a recent television series in which a black family moved into, I think it was like the 60s era, and a white neighborhood, and they dealt with all types of harassments, very similar to that. But I want to play the video for you this morning, and I want you to give me some advice. Like, what would you do? What would you do? Good morning to you. Also, we must talk about some local news here, including a lawsuit against the director of the CCA. You know, we've been following the CCA. That's the Citizens Complaint Authority. That's the Cincinnati Police Watchdog Agency. It was set up, as a result of the collaborative agreement, and their job basically is to take complaints from the community in terms of people having bad interactions with police officers, to investigate them, and then to make recommendations about what should happen, whether it be discipline or whatever. Dan Hills is a white male. He's also the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, the FOP. And early this week, he released a video on Facebook in which he had been recording an investigator and some of the inner interactions of the CCA. Now I'm reading that there's a new federal lawsuit that alleges that the director of the Cincinnati Police Watchdog Agency, which of course is Gabe Davis, and one of its investigators and the city are violating officers' civil rights with its practice of deceptive interview tactics and blocking their union leader from recording the entire sessions to ensure full transparency. Yeah. See, this is the reason why it's hard. It's always hard to move forward, because you always got some folks out there that like things the way they are. The status quo. They're fighting it. There are some people, and I think they're probably either all Cincinnati police officers, members of the FOP, or their friends and family. Outside of that, I don't really hear it. But there's some people that believe that the Citizens Complaint Authority is making Cincinnati less safe because it's impacting police officer morale. Well, what I would say to the police is the same thing that the police say to us. If you ain't doing nothing wrong, you don't have anything to be afraid of. What is Dan Hills trying to hide? Let's use the logic that the police use with us. What do they say? Well, if you ain't doing nothing wrong, what difference does it make if they pull you over? If you ain't doing nothing wrong, what difference does it make if they stop and talk to you, right? Well, it's the same thing with the Cincinnati police and Dan Hills. If officers who've been alleged of doing wrongdoing haven't done anything wrong, they don't have anything to worry about. And if they do, if these officers who have been alleged to have committed some type of offense, if they have in fact committed the offense, then they get what they get. You don't have a fit. As simple as it. Take a seat and sit. You know, we can keep the rhyme going all morning. It's real simple. This is what you do, but it is what it is. So again, CCA investigates allegations of police misconduct, use of force, and incidents that report directly to the city manager. And I talked with Gabe Davis, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, and just because a case comes before them doesn't mean that they automatically assume that the officer is wrong. And see, that's how Dan Hills and his merry band of idiots that follow him, that's what they try to use. They use a lot of ignorance and fear tactics. Well, you know, an officer ain't got no chance. Get the hell out of here. They're not railroading officers down there at CCA. They're not doing that. Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence where officers who were alleged to have done something wrong, but actually through the investigation, they found that the officers' actions were above the board all the way around. And then CCA still recommends some kind of harsh discipline. Show me the numbers. Until they show me the numbers, I don't believe it. And I can't believe that other people believe it, but you know, we're starting to understand why it's so difficult to get people to get on board with police reform. And that's because you got people like Dan Hills and his merry band of idiots that follow him running around here fear-mongering with police officers. They don't like you. Well, you know, you got to be twice as right. You goddamn right you got to be, because you chose to be a police officer in America. You chose to do that. And that job comes with a whole lot of weight. You're right. If you're a police officer, everybody's watching you. That's what comes with the job, period. If you don't want that kind of scrutiny, then go into bread making. You should go into wine making. You can step on grapes all day. Go into something that's a lot less visibility. Go into some, it's a lot of jobs out here. Go into horticulture. You know what I'm saying? Go into something in which you're not going to be up in front of everybody representing the city of Cincinnati. But you can't have it both ways, people. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. You can't have it both ways. Shout out to Ron Hummins for the t-shirt. It reads, I make effed up look good. Sometimes I'll just make it look real bad. Good morning to you. That's crazy as hell. All this belly aching and complaining. Listen, show me the evidence. If CCA is railroading officers and officers who've done nothing wrong are getting disciplined and it's a big inconvenience, then show me the cases. Show us the cases. We want to hear it. I don't believe that's the case one bit. I don't believe it at all. Not one bit. It's just, Dan, this is what passes as leadership for the FOP. Somebody run around just kicking up dust, talking dumb-ish, and I guess it appears that he is protecting the interests of the officers, I guess. I don't see it. And then the show me the officers that are losing morale and then not doing their jobs because of CCA, because they need to be fired immediately. They need to be removed from the force. If you're a police officer in the Cincinnati Police Force and all of a sudden your morale is affected, I don't feel good about going to work today because the CCA is investigating complaints from citizens. I'm just not going to be able to do my job today. Then we need to find out who you are. They need to be removed immediately. Immediately. Who are they? Who are these police officers that don't want to go to work because the CCA is investigating complaints from citizens? They don't make it up. They take it from citizens, the people that you are sworn to protect. This is crazy talk to me. It's crazy. Oh, crime is going up because officers' morale is affected and the officers don't want to do their job. Police officers are the only job where they are allowed to tell us when they don't want to do their job, and everybody says, well, I guess they got a reason for it. You go to your job today and you tell your supervisor you don't want to work today because of some numb shit they said, and you see how long you keep that job. You're going to be out. We don't do that with police officers. We so sympathetic. It's a tough job to do. Yeah, we don't understand their job, so we'll let them tell us because they're the experts and all this other nonsense. This is garbage. Where are all the Republicans that hate frivolous lawsuits? Frivolous lawsuit, waste of time. If you ain't doing nothing wrong, you don't have anything to worry about. But let me go straight to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, dear brother. Good morning. Thank you so much for starting out the morning with this very important conversation. I was trying to call in yesterday, and I missed you on Wednesday when you brought it up. But yesterday, we were doing the lateral police interviews. And just let me say to you and the choppers, it's interesting what we learned from doing these interviews. One of the things that we learned yesterday and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday was that I didn't know this, that the University Health has its own police force. And then there's a Carl Linder mental health facility in Mason that has its own police force. And these individuals who work there, the reason we found out is that these individuals that work there are applying to become officers in the city of Cincinnati. And why is that important? Because it tells you what type of policing that they have been doing and how long they've been doing it. And if you've only been in a hospital doing security, there's a lot of training that you would need to have to come and be a lateral police officer in the city of Cincinnati. But that's a whole nother story, Nathan, and we'll continue to talk about that as that process unfolds. But Dan Heels and this craziness that he's doing towards Citizens Complaint Authority is unwarranted, it's unprofessional. and it's extremely dangerous to go after the civilian oversight, the Citizens Complaint Authority that came out of the collaborative agreement, that came out of 15 unarmed black men being killed at the hands of the police. Is totally ridiculous, and we all should be offended. This is not about Dan Hills wanting a recording, because guess what, people? They get a recording at the end of every interview that they do. This is about Dan Hills breaking the rules. You're not even supposed to have a phone inside of the interviews. The same process that they use inside of the internal investigation, the same process that is used inside of CCA, so that there wouldn't be a significant difference, so that it would mimic what was already in place. Dan Hills knows exactly what he's doing, and to go after the individual, the brother Aikiki, that he clearly recorded on his phone and then posted on Facebook is unprofessional. You don't get to go into another city department and just break the rules like that because you're the president of the SOP. This has nothing to do with you being the president of the SOP. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you saw this that he put on his Facebook page, the picture of the gun locker, another process that is happening across the country. When you go in to interview with these citizens oversight agencies, they're asking everyone to lock their guns in a gun locker. He takes a picture, says that he nor the officers that we pay, not that Dan Hills pays. Because if Dan Hills is funding the Cincinnati Police Department, then I could understand, but he's not. This is a tax-paying citizen organization. We pay for them. That they're not going to do that. So that the investigators and everyone feels safe. This is totally ridiculous. To put it on Facebook, I've never seen it since the inception of the Citizens Complaint Authority. Since 2003, when it was brought into existence by Administrative Code 28, we have never, ever seen this. No one has broken the rules. Dan Hills, his whole premise is ridiculous. 75% of the complaints are either exonerated or not sustained. What is he talking about? Where's the mistreatment? Where's the low morale? If anything, he should join everybody else in saying that the Citizens Complaint Authority needs to have the funding that it needed to do these cases within the time frame of 90 days, so that everybody can move forward, not just the police, but the citizens who feel as though that they go to this extreme to file a complaint, that means that they feel like they were done wrong, and that they went to the agency that was put in place so that citizens could safely do that. Now you want to go after the brother investigator. You want to put his face on Facebook on your very divisive, nasty page where the comments are insane. And we don't know what this climate is. And this particular part of the country where folk believe that you can't say anything to the police, that they don't deserve to have oversight, checks, and balances. This is ridiculous. So I know that our attorneys this morning are reviewing the federal complaint. I do know, dear brother, that there is an internal investigation happening based on what was done by Dan Hills, recording the interview, which is just totally ridiculous. Because since the inception, they get a CD of the full investigation of what happened. To try to go in and interrupt investigations as Dan Hills is doing is egregious. And that, to me, is the most significant thing, because that is what he's doing. He doesn't care that these cases are out of compliance. He doesn't care that citizens feel as though they have been excessive force have been used, or whatever their complaint is. He doesn't care that they have the opportunity to go to a professional agency and make a professional complaint and have this thing done in a professional way. He doesn't care about that. Not at all. And now you filed a federal lawsuit in federal court. It's ridiculous. And he needs to sit down. And so hopefully the mayor or somebody, the chair of law and public safety, will see that Dan Hills is breaking the law and will finally say something to Dan Hills. Hopefully they will say this is not good for the citizens of the city of Cincinnati, more specifically Black citizens who depend on this agency, for the people who have utilized it, for the recommendations that have come out that have helped the Cincinnati Police Department, for the few officers that we did get rid of because of this agency. for the things that have been lifted up. Oh, and by the way, Nathan, did you see the use of force report? The numbers are not going down. They're staying the same. And it's a drastic difference between black folks and non-black folks. So yeah, shit to do in the city of Cincinnati. We don't need to be distracted by Dan Hills or his minions or anybody that believes that police are above the law, because that ain't it. You're not in the city of Cincinnati. We have this tool here, and I'm going to fight until the day I die to ensure that it stays here. So I hope that folk are calling their legislators, calling the mayor, calling the vice mayor. Y'all want to stand up for the Citizens Complaint Authority that you just gave $400,000 to so that it can do its job. Because Dan Hills does not get to run amok as if he cannot be checked. And if that is the case, I cannot wait for an election. And we need to hold everybody accountable. Everybody. Everybody. I am angry that he put that young man's face on Facebook. I am angry. We have never had this happen since 2003, that somebody would go to this extreme. You have no basis and you have no case. But you want to go after the individual that is doing nothing but their job. I am appalled, and it just stinks to high heaven. And I hope that folks are finally seeing what Dan Hills is about. It's not about representing his officers, because that's his job. He's not the chief of police. That is Elliot Isaac. Last thing I'll say, dear brothers, that the Citizens Complaint Authority will be our guest today. We will be reviewing the cases that they reviewed this past Monday. And we typically try to do it the Friday before so the community can understand the process. If you're interested, you know how to get at us. We'll send you the Zoom link. We'll send you the newsletter so you can review the cases and follow along as they go so that we can hold them accountable as well. I'm going to stay on top of this. Nathan, I appreciate you opening up with this morning, because this is critically important to the process of how we hold officers accountable in the city of Cincinnati. All right, dear brother, I'm going to keep listening. Thank you for letting me get my rant off, because this has pissed me off.
Yeah, thank you for the insight. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so
day.
very much. And again, if people want to hear CCA, they'll be on today at 4:00. Gabe Davison and the investigators. Appreciate everyone. Thank you.
All right, take it easy. Yeah, most definitely check them out. Check them out. Freedom Fridays, they're doing great work using that digital space. I mean, to me, it just makes sense. I mean, if there is a pattern of CCA abusing officers, then show us the cases. Show us the evidence. But there isn't. I think what she just said was 75% of the time in the cases, the officers, there's a recommendation that nothing happens because there's nothing to happen. And that still means that CCA is working. Like, the goal of CCA is not to discipline officers, right? Per se. The goal of CCA is to give the people an opportunity to let their voices be heard and let their issues be dealt with, because that's what led to the unrest. It was like a pressure cooker, and there was steam and a lot of heat, and it was building up. It had nowhere to go, so it went straight to the streets. Having the Citizens Complaint Authority, to me, prevents the people from feeling as if their voice doesn't matter. And what did Martin Luther King Jr. say about a riot? Right. It's the people on the bottom. Their voice is not heard. Boom, they explode. So an allegation comes in, CCA will take it, they'll investigate it and make a recommendation. No matter what the recommendation, that's the process. That's what you get. You don't get an outcome. They don't guarantee we're going to make sure that we discipline the officer. I never heard that. Like, this is what passes as FOP leadership? Come on, man. Dan Hills has like that Jurassic thinking. He's a creature from like 20 years ago, the old Cincinnati. Is it possible to have a FOP union head in Cincinnati that isn't divisive, that is actually a part of the community and wants to be a part of the solution? Is that possible? Because it seems like all we get is a whole bunch of dumb-ish from white males. I'm just being honest. That's what I always see. No matter who it is, it's some dumb-ish. But the other part of that is maybe that's the JOB. I don't know what the job of the FOP is. If his job is to ring the alarm and run out there and make these kind of claims, if that's what his mission is, it is what it is. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, comrade.
Good morning to you. Welcome. Black Russia.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Hey, you remember Kathy Harrell? Now, she wasn't a white male. She was the FOP president for a while.
You're right about that. I do remember Kathy Harrell.
Just want to make sure. Yeah. No, it's been white females too. But look, have you read the lawsuit? I want to start there. Have you read the lawsuit that was filed?
The actual lawsuit? No.
Yeah, okay. Well, Fox 19 has the lawsuit. If you go to the actual article, you can go down and click the link, and you can look at the lawsuit yourself. See, Iris is doing her job as rubber rouser. But see, Iris is only giving half the truth. And that's why I'm always on her case, because she only gives you one perspective of it. Okay? I read the lawsuit. Dan Hills ain't fighting to shut PCA down. That's alarmist. That's not what he's doing. What the lawsuit is technically about is how they are conducting the investigations against the police officers. It's a process thing. It ain't about, oh, he's attacking the CCA, because I agree with Iris fully funded the CCA. We agree on that.
Dan Hills didn't want the CCA fund.
See, that's what I'm saying. But so what? It doesn't matter what he wants. There's a bunch of folks who don't like the CCA.
It speaks to his mindset and the overall, reasons behind his actions. He doesn't want a CCA.
Well,
he said he thought that the CCA was leading to more crime because it lowered the morale of police officers. Just want to put that out there.
Okay, that's fine. But listen, but you understand what Dan Hill's role is in this too, right? He is the president of the FOP. He is the union leader. So, he's always going to defend the officers. Even when they're wrong, he's going to defend them. It's like Julie Sellers. Even when the teachers are wrong, the teachers' union is always going to defend the teachers when they're wrong. That's Julie Sellers' job. That's Dan Hill's job. That's what it is. But the thing is, you have to read the lawsuit. Iris is using hyperbole, like he don't like the CCA, just trying to create favor. But those aren't the facts, man. The facts are the way the CCA is going about doing business, according to the lawsuit, is that they are undermining these police officers' ability to give factual information to the CCA, trying to trap them. Okay, the reality is this: if you're going to go ahead and conduct an interview, like for example, this is what I've learned. Look at the complaint. Listen to other people that the CCA people are trying to divide and conquer the CBD from the FOP presidency. They're in there saying, "You sure you want him in here as your representation?" The officers are saying, "Yes, I want Dan Hills in there as my representation." And all Dan Hills want is equal treatment as it relates to how the investigation is going. The CCA is recording the interviews as they're doing them, right? All he wanted to do is record too. And they're saying he can't do that. That's not how this works, bro. It's you don't have to rely on the CCA's recordings if you're allowed to do your own. He's allowed to do his own. But they're trying to tell him he's not. It's crazy. Then they're asking a police officer who has brain cancer about some incident that happened 18 months ago and don't want to show him the video so he can have some type of recollection. The dude got brain cancer. He can't even go out here and operate fully in his capacity as a police officer on the streets no more. He has to do desk duty because he has a medical condition. I just want you to read the lawsuit, bro, because Iris says she's bringing the alarm. I'm calling. That's not true. What's going on is the lawsuit is about the process of how they're conducting the investigations. It's not about PCA itself.
Okay, since you read the lawsuit,
have to understand that.
You have me at a deficit, as a disadvantage. You got a chance to read the lawsuit. I have not. So as
Right.
part of the lawsuit,
did
they offer up any statistical evidence or any other cases in which they feel like officers are being railroaded by CCA?
No, that's not what they're talking about. So what the lawsuit is basically about is how to. What are you talking about? Pattern in terms of what?
Well, pattern in terms of whatever their complaint is. Like, I mean, are they alleging that CCA has a pattern of somehow, trying to railroad officers?
That's not the language you have. I want you to read it, bro. When you get some time, read it. The language in the lawsuit pertains to the investigation. It's not about railroading. It is about treating the officers as they are criminal defendants in a court. They're not criminal defendants, at least not yet. You can't treat people like that. I don't care if you're an officer. I don't care if you're a teacher. If teachers get into trouble, and then you want to bring a teacher in with their union representation, and then you want to play these games with them. That's not to try to trap them into telling themselves to getting fired. That's not how it's supposed to work. Okay,
you're adding a lot of commentary to this, trying to trap them into it. Again, you got me at disadvantage because I haven't read it.
That's what I'm saying. You got to read
it. That's the CCA though. That's the CCA. If you're a Cincinnati police officer, then you understand that the CCA is a real thing. A complaint comes in, they investigate. They might bring you in and ask you some questions. Answer the questions. Like I said,
go ahead.
My thing about this is when the police are dealing with citizens and people be like, well, damn, why you harass me? The police say, and a lot of people that sympathize with police will say, well, if you ain't doing nothing wrong, what you worried about? Same thing with the CCA. Same thing with the CCA. If you're a police officer and somebody makes an allegation against you, if you ain't did nothing wrong, what are you worried about?
But that's not how this works, bro. That's
exactly how this works.
So Dan, you're reading commentary because you haven't read the lawsuit. I'm telling you the lawsuit.
I'm just talking about common sense, like life. If it's good for the police to say it to citizens, it's good for citizens to say it to the police. Iris just said that 75% of the time they recommend nothing happens. So where is the statistical evidence that CCA is somehow trying to trap or railroad officers? Maybe
read the lawsuit.
Read the lawsuit.
It's talking about it's in the lawsuit. Respectfully, the lawsuit tells you about the tactics that are being used. Okay, and that's what this is about. This ain't about shutting down the CCA again. I want people to understand. That's what Iris is saying. They're trying to shut it down.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. It's called death by 1,000 cuts.
Because the city just funded it 9-0. Every city councilman voted to fully fund the CCA.
And Dan Hills didn't want them to. He went before city council and said they shouldn't increase it because if they did, it was going to increase crime. He didn't want CCA to get an increase.
That's irrelevant, though. But
it's not irrelevant. It's relevant to his mind state. It says something about his overall disposition towards CCA, which is negative. He doesn't want it around. And so now you're going to tell me I'm supposed to separate that fact from this lawsuit as if this lawsuit isn't an attempt to try to derail, defund, and dismantle CCA.
You haven't read the lawsuit. Again. You haven't read the lawsuit. So
I don't have to read the lawsuit. I'm reading Dan Hills. I'm reading the situation.
See, reading the situation and reading lawsuits is two different things, my friend.
Absolutely, it's two different things. You're right about that.
Right. So what I'm saying again, there's officers, okay, who are being drugged into the CCA interviews, which I ain't got no problem with that, bro. Okay, no problem with CCA doing their job. Here's where the problem becomes when you start trying to treat these officers like criminal defendants rather than professionals. That's the difference we're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. Read the lawsuit. I'm telling you, that's what it is.
I mean, I'm sure that's in the lawsuit. I don't doubt that. Anybody can have a lawsuit. It's up to the judges to decide the merit of it. You can write up anything in a lawsuit, right? So we'll find out what the judges think about it, if there's any merit to it. But what I'm saying is that show me the evidence that CCA is railroading officers, dragging them in there and asking them questions. So what? Answer the questions and leave. Period.
Right, bro. You're allowed to do that. I'm agreeing with you on it. You're allowed to jump in there and ask questions. But how you do it, the process of how you do it matters is what I'm saying. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Read the lawsuit on how they're trying to do that. Yeah, if they try to use these tactics if they were trying to interrogate a criminal defendant, then these tactics would work as the CCA.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Black Russia, what I'm saying is, however CCA is asking the questions to this point hasn't led to a statistical trend of officers being over-disciplined. So who cares? Who cares how they've been asking the questions? It's not statistically leading to officers being railroaded, because if it was, we'd be reading about it. There's no evidence of it.
You're short-sighted, bro. You're talking about, okay, so however they ask the questions don't matter. That's not
what I'm saying is whatever they have been doing to this point has not led to Cincinnati police officers being railroaded for things they didn't do, period. So
because
if that's true,
in there.
What you mean? If that's true, then what's the big deal about this?
The big deal is, bro, you got to treat these officers when you're investigating them for complaints like this as professionals. You can't use criminal defendant tactics in a professional interview and expect people to be okay with that. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what the lawsuit's saying. I read the lawsuit. I heard what Iris had to say. I don't heard Dan Hills enough. Okay, I've looked at all angles of this. And what I'm just trying to tell you, the CCA is there for a reason, but how they conduct business matters too. If you want buy-in, okay, that's the problem with this. Like, you can't treat these officers like criminal defendants out the rip because there's a complaint going on.
I don't even know. So what's the difference between treating an officer as a criminal defendant and then treating an officer as if you got a serious complaint from a citizen and then CCA investigators are trying to get to the bottom of it? What's the difference between those two?
The tactics you use.
What tactics?
So
tell me the difference. What tactic would be okay and what tactics would be not okay in those two scenarios? Because I don't see me, you're splitting hairs. I don't see the difference.
I'm not.
They're not under arrest. They're not shackled. That's how you treat a criminal defendant. They're walking over from the Hamilton County Justice System in shackles, sitting in court. They're not being shackled. They don't have to answer the questions. So how are they being treated?
Criminal defendants don't have to answer the questions either. But see, you're conflating two things. You're trying to put shackles in with interview tactics, bro. That's not
But tell me, what is the difference? What's the difference between treating an officer as a criminal defendant and treating an officer as if you got a serious complaint from through the CCA? What's the difference?
I'll give you an example. All right, I'm gonna give you one example right now. Okay, listen to this. So, and I've seen enough, interrogations, and I've seen enough of the tactics that people use in order to get people to tell on themselves or to trick them, all type of stuff. Okay, perfect example. Get into the CCA interview room, right? You got people in there. So like somebody like this guy had brain cancer 18 months ago, right? He had an incident 18 months ago. He has brain cancer. And they ask him questions about something that happened 18 months ago. All right. He getting chemo, all types of stuff. He can't remember what happened. He wanted to see the video of what happened. They don't want to show him the video of what happened.
Of course they don't.
In the criminal, but that's what I'm saying. But that's how you treat criminal defendants, bro.
What? No, that's not.
The video.
Please
yes,
stop.
It is, bro.
If they show you the video, then now you remember everything. They want to know what his natural recollection is. Of course, they're not going to show on the video. I wouldn't show on the video either. I don't care if he had chemo or not. Why would I do that?
That's what I'm saying.
It's self-defeating. Right. It defeats the purpose of asking you the questions. I want to know what you remember, minus any other things that might help jog your memory. That's common sense. That's not like some kind of slick tactic. That's just common sense,
bro. No, that's how you treat criminal defendants, bro.
That's common sense, dude. That's common sense. I'm not gonna draw you a picture. I want you to tell me. I'm not gonna let you see the video because now the video is gonna poison your recollection. I don't know whether you recall or whether you just remember what I just showed you.
Again,
why would I show you that?
That's how they treat criminal defendants, bro.
That's how they treat them. No. That's how they treat people who they're asking their natural recall. That's all that is. That's not how you treat criminal defendants.
Bro, no, it's not, bro. Because I've seen this in administrative hearings and I've seen this in criminal defendants situations, bro. The professionals get the benefit of seeing the video to explain themselves.
It depends on the nature. It depends on the context. I can see the same thing happening in an administrative review. I can see the same thing happening. They ask you a question.
In an administrative review, they give you the video first.
They want to know what you think first, even though they got the video right here, because they want to know the veracity of your claims. Are you telling the truth? Why would I show you the video? I wouldn't show you the video in that situation. You have to tell. You have to recall. And if you can't recall, then that's on you.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. 18 months and brain cancer later, and
I don't care if it was 118 months.
They don't do that, bro.
It's irrelevant to them trying to get to the bottom of these issues. So what? It's unfortunate.
All right, bro.
So what I'm saying is,
this is how I'm just saying the difference is in how they're treating the police officers versus criminal defendants and professionals. And all Dan Hills is saying, from what I'm reading, is these are not good tactics. And then they want to stop Dan Hills from recording in there while they're recording. Bro, this is craziness, bro. The tactics are crazy. That's all that's being argued is the tactics. Nobody's saying get rid of the CCA. People are questioning the tactics.
That's exactly what Dan Hills is saying. That all of this is about trying to derail, delegitimize, and get rid of the CCA. Don't you see that?
No. Read the lawsuit. I just challenge you to read the lawsuit and bring some commentary to it as you're on the air. You can skim through it, pick out the things that you like, but you're at a deficit, bro. You ain't read the lawsuit.
I am at a deficit. All
you're gonna do is say, hey, Dan Hill's gonna get rid of the CCA, bro.
Because he does.
That's not what they're
Everybody
saying.
knows
that. He's the lawsuit.
Everybody knows that. If there was one man in Cincinnati that is anti-CCA, is Dan Hills. What are we talking about? Everybody knows this.
Bro, you got to read the lawsuit. That's not what the lawsuit said. So,
of course the lawsuit don't say that. Of course the lawsuit won't say that.
Right, because that's the fact. He ain't trying to get rid of it through the lawsuit.
Oh,
come on, bro.
God,
they've already funded it.
Blackmail gullibility. I hate it. I hate it when you do this, bro. I hate it when you get too smart for this.
I hate when you put your head in the sand, bro, and you give Iris the platform to speak half truth. You ain't gonna get the other side of this on your show because you got one person out here who claims she's the queen of the collaborative, who's the master of all things factual. Come on, man. I'm tired of this, bro. Have a good weekend, comrade.
You too, bro. Take it easy. The queen of the collaborative. He is hilarious. You is wild, man. You a wild boy out. He is wild. She thinks she the queen. She is of the collaborative. I mean, she is. That's hilarious. I appreciate the call. Again, you're right. I haven't read it. I fully admit it. I put it out there. If I haven't read something or I don't know something, I never act like something. I know something I don't. I don't need to do that. I haven't read it. Perhaps if I read the lawsuit, I may glean some things that may lead me to his side. However, I haven't done that. And at this point, it sounds like nincompoop, Gilligan dumb shit. That's what it sounds like. And I hate black male gullibility. Black men are not allowed to be gullible in 2021. Leave that shit in the past. Dan Hills ain't trying to get rid of CCA. Where you been, bro? Did you miss when he was down at city council like a month ago talking about how he believed the CCA was leading to crime, the increase of crime because it was lowering morale of police officers? Who are these officers? Y'all need to go, bro. If you sitting on, I can't do my job because Iris Rowley got $400,000 for CCA, then you need to go. You're in the wrong line of work. You're in the wrong line of work if you think that. That is ridiculous. Who can't do their job because somebody else out here doing something? The hell? Oh, my. Let me say my prayers real quick because I'm deep into this show. I'm going to get myself spiritually in trouble. Hold on one second. Lord, forgive me for my brash delivery. They know not what they say, Lord. Thank you. There it is. So I'm good. Spiritually, I'm covered for the rest of the show. I'm bathed in the blood of Black Jesus, and I'll be good. But, man. And again, statistically, show me that CCA has been railroading officers. Show me the cases where officers didn't do nothing wrong. They didn't deserve any recommendations, by the way, recommendations of discipline. And then when you look at the case, you realize the CCA investigators were just making that shit up. Show me those cases. Put them out there. Send them to WCPO or whoever put it out there. Because if that was the case, believe me, we'd already be reading about the cases. If CCA was railroading officers, Dan Hills would have T-shirts made up with the images of the cases all over the officer's name. You know what I'm saying? It'd be everywhere. The reason why we don't see is because they don't exist. Simple as that. This is nothing more than the reactions of the status quo, the racist status quo that wants to keep things the same, even if it risks the lives of the citizens. That's all this is. This is like, competing interest, right? We generally have an interest for the CCA to do its job. I think it's actually good for the police, quite honestly, because if I was a police officer and somebody had a complaint against me, and I know I didn't do anything, I don't want to wait a year or two while I'm waiting for the investigator to get to it. I want you to get to it quick so I can get that behind me and I can get on and do my job. Wouldn't you feel the same way? Why would you want there to be a backlog of cases for a year? The CCA just doesn't have the money, time, and investigators to get to. That doesn't help the officers. You got this hanging over your head for 6, 7, 8 months, a year. How is that good for you? That would lower morale. So now I don't know what's going to happen. I got this big question mark. Or let's say you're an officer and you feel like it was just some BS, because I'm sure that happens. I'm sure the CCA gets some complaints. They look into it and there's nothing about it whatsoever, because that's the nature of human beings. Human beings that drop a dime on you and try to get you in trouble and that's how human beings are. We know that. But you're telling me in those cases the CCA and their investigators do their analysis and then still decide to recommend, by the way, I keep saying recommend, discipline for officers. And then the Cincinnati Police Department looks at the recommendation and says, you know what? This is some dumbish and the officer clearly didn't do anything, but we're going to go ahead and discipline you anyway. Get out of here. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Dan Hills is death by 1,000 cuts. He's trying to do whatever he can to invalidate, to incriminate the CCA, because that's just what he wants to do. I guess he's told the rank and file, his followers, that's what he's going to do. Watch me go after this CCA. Yeah. I told you I was the guy, man. Vote for me for re-election. FOP president Dan Hills. Yeah, I told you I'll fight the good fight for you. Now, if that's the game, I'm sure there's a lot of gamesmanship with the FOP president, union president. If that's the game he got to run, okay. I don't think it's healthy for a community, for anybody to be out there telling officers that the community doesn't care about you, because that'll be a lie. The community cares about all the officers. as long as they're good officers. If you're a bad officer, then we want you off the force. It's real simple. It's just like if I go to Taco Bell and they got a bad interaction with the cashier, I want them to leave. Doesn't mean I want everybody at Taco Bell to lose their job, but your ass needs to go. Okay, because you have revealed that you're not professional enough. That's the way it is in every profession. It's not just police officers. I don't care what it is. You can go to Jungle Gyms, not a promotion, by the way, and have a bad interaction with somebody out there, and you're going to want them to be fired depending on the level of the bad interaction. It ain't no different. They try to make it seem like it's some big deal, some big difference with police officers. It's the same basic concept, customer service. But same basic concept. And when you're delivering bad customer service, customers don't want you to be there anymore. Nothing more. It ain't personal. Now, there's a lot of history and y'all got guns and shit like that. So it's a lot deeper than just, a cashier at Jungle Gyms in terms of the seriousness and the repercussions. But the basic concept, I hopefully follow me with this morning is what I'm trying to get at. And Black Russia, man, has been on like a 4-week black male gullibility tour, and it's just disgusting to me. I hate black men who act gullible. God didn't put you on this earth to act gullible, B. So knock that off, man. It's disgusting. I want to take a bath. I need a shower now to get all that nonsense off my skin. I got sensitive baby skin. Daryl writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you, Daryl. He writes, it's Friday. It is Friday. It is Friday. Just Teach writes, who's this teacher? Her voice is amazing. I don't remember what song I played. I don't remember. I'm just reading it. Anthony writes, morning, Chop Shop. It's a little chilly in here. We've had the AC blasting all night. Money just going out the window, and I'm chilly as hell, but I got equipment in here. I like to try to keep it nice and cool. So it is what it is. Damn, wait a minute. Is there an AC unit in here? I don't think there's an AC unit. Damn. Let me see. Jerome writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Get to the damn choppers. Black Russia needs to get to the choppers, man. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Mighty Choppers with a Z. Good morning to you. Tabitha writes, good morning, Choppers. Good morning to you. Good morning. Sister Iris writes, good morning, great people. I mean, you got to remember, man, like we forget this about Jim Crow because we just focus on what was happening on the streets because that was the most, that was the thing that was the most relevant because of the videos, and you can see those clashes between white folks and police and civil rights protesters, things like that. But there was whole lot of legal protests to the civil rights movement as well. I mean, white supremacists are not dumb. They're very smart people. And it's like, oh, okay, we'll just use the courts. We'll use the courts to try to get what we want. And the same thing is happening as it relates to the CCA. I just don't get it. I think CCA, again, is great for the citizens. It's great for police. It's great for the city. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Citizens get a chance. They let their voice be heard. Officers get their day in court. Everybody's happy. If you ain't do nothing wrong, they don't recommend any kind of disciplinary actions. If you did, they make a recommendation. Cincinnati Police Department will implement if they feel as if it needs to be. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. How is that not? I don't get it. Oh, police. Oh, you hear this all the time from pro-police people, right? Oh, man, you don't have any. Jason Whitlock used to say this all the time. Well, if you ain't do nothing wrong, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Okay, but same thing. If you're a Cincinnati police officer and you didn't do anything wrong and you feel as if this allegation against you is unwarranted and or the facts are being distorted to favor the accuser, cool. You get to sit down with the investigators. They walk through it. They investigate. They'll find out what the truth is and make a recommendation. A recommendation, y'all. But, people like Dan Hills have to have enemies. Smart people understand you have to have an enemy. And so there's people out there in the community, I guess it's Iris Rowley and There's people that support the CCA. They're against the police. That's the narrative they're probably telling them. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the room when Dan Hills is talking with officers and he doesn't think anybody else is there. I bet he lays it on thick. Well, watch yourself because you can't do anything. Well, if it's too much pressure, get the hell off the field. Yo, if being a Cincinnati police officer, you feel like it's super hard and like you don't have no support and you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, then guess what you can do? You can leave. You can leave. Go into CBD oil. The mayor of Cincinnati says that he supports legalization of marijuana in Ohio. He says the time is now. And he's only partly right. Like I support, as we all do, common sense people. Everybody supports legalization of marijuana that has any damn sense. The only people that don't support the legal recreational use of marijuana are people that don't have any damn sense, or they make money off of it being, not legal. But our penisless mayor, John Cranley, will be running against a man who has no spine, Mike DeWine, in the gubernatorial race. And our penisless mayor, who has not done enough in the city of Cincinnati over the last 8 years, he needs something to run on. So he's going to run on this. He's going to be pro-recreational marijuana, right? And I agree with him, but only halfway agree with him. He said the time is now. The time was 10 years ago, yo. That's when the time was. We love to do shit late in Ohio. We should have been on the cutting edge. Can we ever get on the cutting edge in Ohio, please? We always 10 years late. Mark Twain was completely right. What did he say about Ohio and Cincinnati? About Cincinnati? He said Cincinnati will find out that the world has ended 10 years after it ended. We 10 years behind the times. But I'll take it. So what do you think about your penisless mayor, John Cranley? If he had a penis, Cincinnati would be in a better place, but he don't. I'm picking up off of I'm in my your Negro tour guide, frame of mind. So folks who know I'm talking about, where that flow is coming from. But he says he is for the legalization of recreational marijuana. I'm for it too. But that's not where the story ends. I'd like to know if our penisless mayor, John Cranley, who wants to be the next governor of Ohio, I want to know what his black wealth building plan as it relates to the legalization of marijuana is, because he should have one. Is levels to this. How progressive we gonna get? How real we gonna get with this whole legalized marijuana thing, John Cranley? What is your plan? Because I think that the legal marijuana, you talking about money as for generations and generations and generations and generations. You talking about all kinds of just money, legal, making money off of recreational drugs. What is there a better industry than that in America? Recreational drugs? No, there isn't, because humans love their drugs. They love them. You can lie to yourself if you want to. I already know the truth. Love them, love them, love them. And Cincinnatians are going to go nuts for recreational marijuana. They're going to go absolutely ape-ish. They're doing it already. You go downtown, people getting them drugs. Bars, they sell alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, I know, and not the chicken wings, but the alcohol is a drug. When you mix in legal marijuana, people can get some edibles or can smoke around. Oh my God. Man, listen, it's going to be a big old a tsunami of cash coming in. And I think personally that we should make sure and secure some spots for black entrepreneurs at the top of the list to make sure that we get paid off of it. Because look at how marijuana, when it was illegal, was used against our communities. We can't even calculate how much money was taken from us because somebody either got their car impounded or they got court costs, and you had the court costs on top of you had to lose a day of work, and then you got fines, and then you got all kinds of provocations and things that opened the door. The door was open because somebody smelled some marijuana, and now it's going to be recreationally legal. So to me, you got to pay that back. So I'd be interested in hearing beyond just he's for recreational marijuana being legal. But I like to know what John Cranley's plan is specifically in terms of black wealth building. That's what I would like to know. That's just me. You might feel differently. Let me go back to the phones and say good morning and welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate, man? Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, brother, and welcome.
Not only do I want to know what John Cranley's plan is as far as wealth building is concerned, I also want to know what his plan is about prison reform and possibly commuting those sentences that were mandatory back in the day for things like marijuana, Nate.
I hear you. I'm down with you.
That's something. But the reason why I called, Nate, Black Russia. We might have to put today's call in the top 5 of the most Gilligan gullible moments of all time on the Nathan Ivey show. Literally, we had a man call in and try to defend the feelings, not the practice, the feelings of police, and that they might be treated unprofessional. And the irony of this, Nate, and I was thinking about this while making my morning cup of coffee. It's just yesterday. You talked about a study about what, Nate? Remember the study you were talking about?
Yeah.
About how they talk to citizens, black and white, during the commission of an arrest or a stop. And that study showed what, Nate? That black people were treated more unprofessionally than white citizens.
Correct.
And for BR to try to call in here and act like he doesn't know or can't recollect, or it's not in the lawsuit, that Dan Hills has vehemently been against CCA and body cameras from day one. BR, you talk all the time about your law practice. That's, what do they call it? Malfeasance? Malpractice. If you're talking about using your law degree, what you're doing is malpractice. You're like the freaking Trump lawyers talking about stop the steal. You're just making up shit. You're like the Sidney Powell of Cincinnati. But I cannot believe that you would honestly sit up here and talk about, well, they need to be treated professionals. Ain't that a bitch? After the year and a half of what we just went through, and you talking about the cops being treated professional, when basically all they doing is being called, I don't know, let's make the equivalent to all of our own jobs, being called into the huddle room, with your supervisor and somebody else there to witness it. And if you didn't do anything wrong, like you say, Nate, they say it all the time. You know, what's wrong with having cameras on the streets, cameras in the malls, cameras, when you walk in the store? If you didn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. Dan Hills was against body cameras from day one. And they can actually kill you, put you in jail, arrest you. It's one of the things that bothers me most about dealing with Mike Allen down the Dow, Nate, when I just hear him go off on these just wild-ass, crazy, QAnon-induced, stop-the-steal rants, and I sit here and think, this dude was a police officer, a prosecutor, and a judge. That shit is frightening. So, like I said, man, Iris, thank you for all you do. All you do. Nate, I didn't know that 75% of the complaints, are dismissed or not even, did you say something like that? Like 75% of the complaints?
They make they don't make a recommendation for disciplinary action, as I believe.
You would think that would be something to be applauded. 3 out of 4 times, actually, the cops, I guess, are doing their job, or we found that there's nothing there, but that 25%, we got to handle them. They're bad for company. I mean, it's like Derek Chauvin. Nate, he had like 18 prior complaints against him. And there's a Dan Hills in freaking Minneapolis that was defending the Derek Chauvins of the world. And we got one right here in Cincinnati in Dan Hills. And for you to call in and defend this, man, it's indefensible. Right. It is indefensible. You should be ashamed of yourself. Honest to God, dude. And then all the cheap shots you take at Iris and Nicole. Man, I mean, what is wrong with you? I told you, Nate, 10 years from now, we're going to remember you. You're going to be one cuz. Remember one cuz? Remember old Buster ass? Remember one dude, one cuz. You're going to be that dude. Nate, I told you, I wish I was back in like my parents' generation, as much as I'm involved in politics, because I wanted to know what the Black Rushes and the drops sounded like back in the 60s. We don't need a Civil Rights Act. Let the states figure it out. This is America, the land of freedom. What we eventually will freaking come around. I mean, honestly, Nate, I gotta go, man. You know what? Honestly, I'm about to make a cup of coffee and freaking sip and bake and get ready for this day. Get these 8 hours over with and start it all over again. Everybody enjoy your freaking weekend. Be art, man. Go get a lobotomy or something, dude. I'm out. Petty peace.
Appreciate the call. Damn. Yeah, I mean, gullibility does not go over well here on the Nathan Ivey Show. We just ain't those kind of people. Enough of the gullibility. We don't have to agree. We can always disagree. And I'm always open to be corrected by my people. I'm always open to be corrected by my people. But come on, man. That's ridiculous. I know BR early in the week was arguing about, people talking about Smitherman's wife. But, I mean, Iris Rowley is somebody's wife. I'm just saying, I mean, if it's about the issues, great. We go hard at it. If it's about attacking opinions on issues, go hard at it. Personal, I don't do personal. I'm never personally talking about anybody. I don't have time for that. I'm above all of that at this point. On the issues, thought process, your logic, the way you see something as it relates to a specific topic, sure. You've never heard me get personal. I don't get personal. I keep it on the issue. The thought process, like, your logic is not, that's fair. That's fair. You said Queen of the Collaborative? That should be the name of her title of her book. I like that, actually. See? They be trying to dish you. Sometimes they give you great ideas. Queen of the Collaborative. At least that's a chapter. All right, before we go any further, I want to show this for you. So show this to you. Doing a little bit of a Friday freestyle, a lot of topics, people, politics, and pleasure. A young girl asked for advice on TikTok on how to deal with racist neighbors. And I want to play this for you, and I want you to tell me what you would do. Just a little something different. Let's see if I got this for you. I'm going to play this. All right, here we go. Make sure okay. So I'm going to play this for you, and I want you to tell me what you would do.
Hi, so I want to show you my racist neighbors. Let me flip the camera. They have put a bunch of devils and gods of things that my family believes in as Hindus on their window to mock us. We've installed random cameras that face our property here as well. They have thrown disgusting bugs into our garage, walking onto our property. These are called Japanese beetles, and they've been throwing them in bags filled with water into our house, like under our car. Today, they went to our soil supply and they tore it, and they threw rocks all around this side path we have beside our house. Also today, they threw this huge stack of weeds all over the front of our driveway because of something so stupid. Well, you must be thinking we have done something, but actually a week ago or 2 weeks ago, this lady found our neighbor. She found a bunch of nails on her driveway, and she came to us going like, oh, I don't know where these nails are coming from. I'm scared because my kids will trip over them. And keep in mind, her kids are like 12 and 8 or something like that. They're not super young where they're stupid, but they're still pretty young. And she found a bunch of nails on them, which, like, first off, like, what's the worst that can happen? You step on it. But what she told us was, like, the nail might flip up, it's gonna get jammed in our car, and then if we drive away and then we get a flat tire, we'll drive into something else and then we'll die. So she blamed my dad for that because he intentionally did it when he had no motive or no reason at all. And then he said my mom was sitting beside her while he was throwing the nails. Again, doesn't make any sense. The police refused to do anything about it, so I'm here on TikTok to try and get your advice. What should I do?
So what should she do? What should she do? You ever had a situation like that with neighbors behaving badly? I remember going back to the wintertime. There was a story, I believe it was somewhere west of Cincinnati. And it was during the winter, and it was snow, and one neighbor ended up shooting the other neighbor because one neighbor was shoveling the snow and then shoveling and throwing it right into their neighbor's yard. When you're a homeowner, or even when you're not, that your neighbors and all those interactions can really, 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 really impact you, right? Because you want to feel safe. And when you're at home, you don't want to deal with any nonsense. So neighbor nonsense can really, really, really be something that really rubs you the wrong way. And I was thinking back as I got mentally prepared for today's show this morning to like some neighbor interactions that we've had. And we've had a few, and I thought about it and I didn't realize it until I just thought about it. But all of our bad neighbor interactions, I must say this, have been with white folks. Really haven't had any bad neighbor interactions with black folks. All the bad interactions we had was with white folks. I'll tell you more about it in a second. But again, what advice would you give this woman? I'll tell you one thing off the top is if I have neighbors and they put up surveillance cameras and they point it toward me, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get some surveillance cameras and point them straight at them. We going to surveil each other then. I want you to know what that feels like. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big proponent of the reflection method when you're dealing with adults. Sometimes as some adults, you got to do exactly to them what they've done to you. Then they're like, oh, I see now. That's just the way some people are. But really, really super bad when it comes to like neighbor stuff, right? That's your home too. You got every right. But I want to know, what advice would you give this young woman? Seems like they're being harassed. They're throwing dirt and all kind of stuff. Japanese beetles. I don't know what the significance of that is. Or maybe there's some kind of pest or something. Maybe they're hoping they might infest their yard or something. I don't know. I don't doubt it. In America, people are so fragile. White folks can be so fragile that it makes them react in what appears to be aggressive ways, but it's really a reaction. It's really some of that fragility. But I want to know, what advice would you give this young woman? What do you think? Good morning to you. Good morning. I'm going to try to catch up here to where we are. What's up, FG? Good morning to you, sister. It's always good to see you. Eloise writes, good morning. T. Greg writes, why won't the CCA allow FOP to record interviews when CCA is recording interviews? Hashtag asking for a friend at alt middle. I mean, is that a serious question? Are you serious? You know, I thought you was lightweight joking, but now I'm reading that you posted this. I mean, there's one very good reason as to why CCA wouldn't allow anyone outside of themselves to record. And that is because you want to control the flow of the information that might get out. You know, Dan Hills has already proven that he'll go in and record something and then put it on Facebook. That's the reason why they don't want anybody to record. Do I really have to say that? You got a sensitive investigation. You're trying to protect the identities of all people. And then you allow the FOP president to record it, and he puts it on Facebook whenever it suits him. You don't think that's a problem, Black Russia? I'm sure this CPD records their interviews. Do they allow you, unions or whoever to go in there and record them? I don't know. I would imagine that they don't, for good reason, because we want to control who hears this, the flow of it. We don't want identities or sensitive information being put out. We don't want any of that. As much as Dan Hill is complaining about what they're only showing you parts of the tape, he would do the same thing if it fit whatever he was trying to do in that moment. So that's the reason why. I mean, this is the most ridiculous question I've ever heard in my entire life. Why won't CCA allow the FOP to record the interviews when CCA is recording interviews? Because Dan Hills put it on Facebook. That's why. That's why. What am I missing? Come on, B. Oh, dear Lord. Say it with me. I hate gullible Black men. End gullibility in the Black community. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. Regina writes, good morning, all. Glad it's Friday. Me too. It's going to be an excellent weekend. Excellent weekend. Brent writes, I'm getting real tired of the disrespectful references toward my sister. It comes with the territory. We all got to have thick skin. Sister Iris got thick skin. It's a talk show, so everybody ain't going to love you. I don't want it to be personal. That's why I think I draw the line at it. But, it is what it is. You say something, you tweet something, you share a chat, you open your door to be criticized. Same thing with me. Daryl writes, BR, I told you you and I am friends with a former Cincinnati officer. I saw what Hills posted on his timeline, so I read for myself. Step back. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan and all. Happy Friday. Stay safe. I plan on it. It's going to be an excellent Friday. Coming up at 12:30 today, the Is It Just Me podcast with Donnie B. Should be always a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun. She kicks off every show talking about, what you're watching, sharing some tips, which have been interesting. I'm not into everything she's into, and I just don't have that amount of time, but here in the last week or so, I've made some time, especially over the weekend for July 4th. I just told myself I'm going to unplug and just try to be in the moment. So I got a chance to catch up with a couple things. Then she'll be talking about what's happening in the city around the gun violence issue, defund the police, as well as some other interesting observations as well. Don't miss it. Today at 12:30 p.m. Is It Just Me podcast. She streams live. You can chime in on the chat. You can call in, speak your mind. Say what you got to say. Brandy writes, good morning. It's Friday. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend. I plan on it. Dare writes, Black Russia, you keep referring to Iris. What I'm talking has nothing to do with Iris. T-Greg writes, everyone should read the lawsuit before believing what Iris says. Hashtag all middle. It's not even about believing what Iris said. What I'm saying to you are my own thoughts, just looking at it as a citizen and just reading the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? And my question is, show me the statistical evidence, show me the trend, show me the cases where Cincinnati police officers are being railroaded and are being given discipline when they don't deserve it because of recommendations of the CCA. Let's cut through all the BS. That's what it comes. That's the core, right, of what this is all about. And that's not happening. Say it again. CCA is not railroading officers. Any officer that has a problem with CCA is a bad officer. They've been acting badly and they don't want to be found out. They don't want to be held accountable. Why else would you have a problem with it? I don't have a problem with there being an American criminal justice system because I'm not in it. That's like saying you got a problem with the courts. I don't have a problem with the courts. We need the courts. I don't give a damn. I'm not in it. I don't plan on being in it. So they can hold court every single day. I won't be there. And I'm sure if I was a Cincinnati police officer, I would feel this. Well, it's a little different. I think when you're out there in the line of force, sometimes people might misinterpret your actions, or they may have strong feelings about your actions, and this is completely legitimate, and we know this to be fair, there are people out there that have had really bad interactions with police, and it sours the way they look at police for the rest of their life. And so they might get into another altercation with police and feel like, I'm going to take it as far as I want to. Whether there's merit to it or not, I'm sure all of that is true. But again, I have never read an article. Nobody has ever said or shown any evidence that CCA is railroading officers. I have never read it. I've never seen it. And something tells me that if in fact this was true and there was evidence to back it up, it would be all over the Inquirer. It would be all over the internet. Dan Hills would be all over the Protect the Blue Facebook group, which I go to from time to time, and I don't ever see it in there. So to the degree that Dan Hills is, Carla, sorry about that. Call me back. I'll put you straight on. Sorry about that. I was in the flows. May the flow be with you on a Friday. So to the degree that Dan Hills is just doing his job as the FOP union president and representing, the rank and file, cool. Beyond that, when it becomes trying to discredit the CCA, hell is not cool. CCA is good for police. It's good for police. It's good for police. That's the narrative that needs to be put out there. It's actually good for you because you get your day in court, but it's not really court. What's wrong with that? As a human being, how could you ever ask for anything more than just having your day in court and a fair review of the evidence? That's all you can ever ask for. That's all you can get. That's all this system has for you. Your day in court and a fair review of the evidence. That's all you get. You don't get anything more than that. Okay, that's good enough for me. Methinks you do protest too much. I think that's Shakespeare. Is that Hamlet? I don't know. But when you hear somebody protesting, it's like, what are you hiding? What are you hiding, Dan Hills? I don't get it. Let me see here. Entrapment. Somebody wrote entrapment. I don't see it. I just don't see it, but okay. Let me see. Brent writes, why is it being recorded and leaked? Thank you, Brent. It's like BR overlooked the answer to his most salient question, which is why can't Dan Hills and the FOP record it? Because Dan Hills put it on Facebook. He can't be trusted. He can't be trusted to preserve the integrity of the investigation. That's why. It's very simple. I wouldn't trust his ass either. You're going to run and put it on Facebook. They got 15,000 people in that Facebook group. 15,000. He posted that there. That means it's everywhere. It's everywhere. 15,000? It's everywhere. Okay, Cincinnati Black United Front writes, he is not allowed to record. It is not their job to show the BWC. The police have the BWC. What does BWC mean? All of the evidence. It's not CCA's job to show the BWC to police. CCA makes recommendations on discipline, right? They make recommendations. They don't put the discipline on the officers. That there's still another level of review. That's the Cincinnati Police Department. They look at the recommendation and say, yes, no, maybe, no, hell no. So again, people are trying to turn the CCA into some kind of monster, right? Basically, it's some old Don Quixote shit, right? Tilting at windmills. You think it's a dragon, but it's really a windmill. These delusions of grandeur. And people like Dan Hills are smart. What he knows is that for him to operate, he needs an enemy. He needs an enemy. He needs for people to be out there hating police, trying to discredit police, right? He needs that. He needs to paint Iris Rowley as if she's anti-cop. He needs to do that because that legitimizes him, right? The CCA needs to be some type of evil organization that was set up to railroad cops. He needs it to be that. Because if it's not, then what the hell is he supposed to talk about all the time? He'll have nothing to talk about. He'll have no job. So vilifying CCA, vilifying, community activists, that keeps him in business. That makes him legitimate to the rank and file. He can run back and say, you see what I said about Iris? I told you. You see, I told you I had your back. Without it, he'd have no use, no usefulness. So I get it. He needs to create these monsters, these whatever, these enemies of the state, so to speak, for him to have relevance with the people that he so-called represents. I understand completely. I see it for what it is. 100%. I think it's dumb as hell and a waste of time, and it takes us backwards, but okay. Latoya writes, number one, you can't have an FOP president who isn't divisive. It's a union. Union donates to campaigns. Hence, Hill's got to be a renegade. Brent writes, you read it, so what are these tactics being used? Right. He didn't tell us no tactics. He's talking about some, what did he say? It was hilarious. Talking about they won't let him look at the video before he answers the question. Why would they? I want you to tell me what you naturally recall, sir. I don't want to show you the video because now I don't know if you actually are giving me your natural recall or you just regurgitating what I just showed you. That's the tactic. Come on, he's a cancer victim. I've sympathized with him. I hope he beats it. I'm always pro-human over cancer. Anybody, anywhere, every day. Okay, I hope that officer beats that and wins his fight against cancer. However, answer the damn questions. If you don't remember because of chemo, you don't remember. It's just that simple. I don't remember. I've been taking chemo for months. What they going to do down there? What are CCA investigators going to do? Force you to remember? That should be good enough. That's it. But belly aching because they won't show you the video to help you remember, man, you grown. You grown. What are you running around here with training wheels on your bicycle at 45? Answer the question or don't. Simple as that. Beth writes morning. Latoya writes number two. He doesn't want the CCA fully funded, so this slowly dismantles it. No money equals it can't function. 3, Black Russia mentioned the suit concerns the process. CCA created a structured process. Sister Iris writes, she just sent a lawsuit to me. Okay, great, I'm gonna check it out. Appreciate that. Brent writes, but if there is a representative there on behalf of the cop, can they object to or not answer based on the 5th? I believe so. I don't think they're obligated, legally speaking, but I could be wrong about that. I want to be obligated, legally speaking, quite honestly. The police receives a copy of the interview at the end of every interview. I think that Politically Petty Podcast said it best. He's like, people out here arguing about the feelings of officers. I don't care about your feelings. We talk about, what about the feelings of the community? What should we weigh heavier? The feelings of the officer or the feelings of the community? The feelings of the community is going to weigh heavier, right? This is the officer here. This is the feelings of the community. It weighs more. Should always be that way because the community pays you. Nat writes, Nate, with the arguments, LOL. It just didn't make any sense. Let me see. She writes, this is how it's done internally as well. So if they do that internally within the CPD, then why can't the CCA do it? Doesn't make any sense. Danita writes, showing a person video allows them to make their narrative around the evidence. The video should back up what the person is saying. Thank you, Danita. You said it way better than I did. Exactly. That's like there's a police shooting and it's caught on video. And before the investigators ask the officer what they did, they show the officer the video of the shooting. Why would you do that? You're letting the officer off the hook. Why would you ever do that? But that's the kind of shit that's been happening with, police shootings around the country. It's like, well, hey, Nate, look, you didn't really see this. And they press play and walk out the room. The officer sits there and watches it. Like, oh, okay, got to match my story up. Oh, okay, he did that. I didn't see that. Okay, all right, I can add that now. Okay, then they come back in and say, okay, we want to take your statement. And then magically the statement matches the video. You must be telling the truth. They've been doing that with officers for years and years and years. You think we don't know? Everybody knows it. Please stop. Please stop. Does Dan Hills record internal when officers being interviewed? That's an excellent question. I would probably say no. Brian Taylor writes, wow, the cherry picking is stunning. How do you not know Dan Hills is not trying to get rid of CCA? Right. Everybody knows that. People who ain't even in politics know that. Everybody knows it. Bo Riding writes, Dan Hills is out of order for recording the interview. Yes, he was. And it's one thing to record it. It's another to put it on Facebook. The man ain't got no pause, but hey, it is what it is. He's never upset when CPD treats black people unprofessional. Quit cooning. These grown A babies, do your damn job. When you're wrong, you're wrong. That's how we got here. They don't want accountability. A Ray speaks. Good morning, Ray. She writes, quit coddling. I said cooning. She writes, quit coddling these grown A babies. That's what she said, coddling. All right, let me go back to the phones and say good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Nathan. It's Nicole. How you doing?
Hey, Nicole, I'm doing great. Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to call and remind everybody that tomorrow the NAACP will be having their first annual block party in Avondale. Our community, our voice will be from 11 to 4 p.m. At the Samuel Arch Park, Reading Road. That's at the corner of Reading Road and Rockdale. And it's a family-friendly event, so we'll have food trucks, entertainment, music, bounce houses, face painting, health screenings, a DJ. Let's see here. The 513 Relief Mobile Unit will be aiding everyone with rent and utility relief, food assistance, vaccines, and testing for COVID. We'll be doing that. Small business assistance and much more. They'll be doing on-site interviews. UC Health will also be offering Stop the Bleed training, teaching public safety bleeding techniques to aid individuals. It's a lot of shootings and whatnot going on. I was just thinking the other day, like, everybody's scattered, but sometimes, if, being able to tie up the wound real quick and keep people from bleeding out can save a life, but people don't always be thinking about that. Also, the Eastern Seals, like I said, will be doing on-site interviews. And at noon, I believe, at noon or 1 o'clock, we'll be doing a tribute honoring Representative John Lewis, who passed away on July 17th last year. We're going to have a special presentation about that and just talk about what it means to start some good trouble. So I hope people come out. I know it's supposed to rain here and there. Hopefully we'll have just small flashes and we can all just hit over to the NAACP office and shelter down and come back if there's any flashes of rain. But for the most part, we hope for good weather and for people to still come out and just join us, because it's going to be a good time. So I just wanted to put that out there, and hopefully I'll get to see a lot of the choppers tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. I'll definitely be through. You already know. All right, Nicole, thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, most def. And there it is right there. There's I've been promoting it throughout the week. Our community, our voice. They talked about it last week on the Truth to Power podcast at Samuel H. Park and Reading Road and Rockdale Avenue. Family-friendly event, food trucks, bouncy house, face painting, health screenings, music, entertainment. NAACP's block party, our community, our voice. I love it. I'm all about it. Should be a good time, and I will be there. I'm waiting to see. I won't know what time I'll be there exactly until I get a phone call on Saturday. So I'll be over there, and I'm going to record some video, just kind of get everything down, and can use that in an upcoming promo for the NAACP's podcast. So I'll get a chance to powwow with you. Yeah. Come on over here. Sit right here.
They're like the same as their platters, but they're used for water.
Oh, okay. What have you been eating?
Only goldfish and apples.
That smells like goldfish and apples. Okay. It smells like it. Okay. How'd you sleep last night?
Good.
Good?
I did not get my tablet.
You didn't get your tablet last night. Come on, come all the way up here. There we go.
Yay!
Say good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Well, have a great day. You going swimming today?
Yes.
Let me look at your head.
I don't know if I'm
Did your mother
going,
brush your hair?
I don't know where I'm going.
Where's the brush at, man? We can get you together.
Don't brush my hair.
Yeah, we're gonna brush. All right, see you later. Hey, black woman. All right, cool. Yeah, that's Junior. You know, he got to make his appearance every single day. So again, tomorrow it will be our community, our voice, and stop by and check it out. Avondale's on the come up, man. They got the new town center over there. There's a lot of really exciting new Black-owned businesses that are moving into those spaces. They're got a lot of designs and plans for that Avondale area. And again, you know, I'll say it again, when Reading Road from downtown to as far as the city limits is electric with businesses and shops and bars and entertainment things and people having a good time and restaurants, when Avondale's electric, Cincinnati being a really good place. Until then, okay. We all right. We's be all right. Tiffany writes, good morning. Danita writes, they fell off to the side. Yeah, they're behind there to the right. Body cams investigations protect good cops because it shows that they did their job according to the law and training. Right. It helps the public trust, but it helps the public trust police because we can clearly see what happened. Exactly. People think I even read a statistic that said that body cams actually exonerate officers more than it incriminates them. But see, people, I mean, I get it. Like, do you want to wear a camera around your neck on your job? Probably not. Like, who really wants to have a camera around their neck all day long? Nobody. Unless you're like a photographer or a videographer or something you're making money off of. But I'm talking about like just surveilling the way you do your job. Nobody wants that. I get it completely. It is not like a comfortable thing for a human to do, right? I respect it, but y'all should did a better job of making sure your brothers and your sisters, your brethren, right, your colleagues wasn't killing unarmed people. Had you done that, we never would have got to these parts where we got to have body cam. But y'all, some of your police officers didn't step up and hold each other accountable. So now the community had to do it. That's how I look at it. Bo Writing writes, Dan Hills is a safe haven for corruption. Anyone who defends bad policing does nothing deserve a role in leadership. Sister Iris writes, I read the ridiculous lawsuit. It's based on BS. I can't wait to read it. Sissy Tigers writes, hanging in, happy Friday. What's the word? What did you do this time? That's hilarious. Blackmail gullibility, right? I hate it. I'm anti-blackmail gullibility. I'm not with it at all. Come on now, later for that. It's not the CCA's job to provide evidence to an officer they are interviewing, although the evidence is provided to the officer beforehand, right? The rules say he can't record, so that's the rules then. That's it. But again, they're hoping to dismantle CCA one lawsuit at a time. Death by 1,000 cuts. You ever heard that term before? Death by 1,000 cuts. It's not a whole bunch of big things. There's a lot of small things. You bleed out over 1,000 different wounds. Next thing you know, it's over with. Dan Hills is a liability. Sister Iris says she's emailing people the lawsuits. They can check it out for themselves. I can post it in the friends page as well. If it's a shareable link, I'll post it there and everybody can check it out for themselves. Let me see. Was Cranley smoking that za when he dropped his phone in the tub? He might have been. Was he smoking that za? Yo, John Cranley is for the legalization of marijuana. And that's a very easy position to take. Pardon me. That's a very easy position for him to take. Very easy. Because everybody supports the legalization of marijuana. That ain't even an issue, John Cranley. The issue is who gets the money? Who gets the money? Are Black entrepreneurs gonna get paid? Now that Ohio is gonna have more of a serious conversation about going legal, and they should have been legal 10 years ago, by the way. I think it'd be great for the city. It'd be great for the county. People need to mellow out. Some people way too serious. Go get you some whatever you need to get and go sit down and chill out. It'll be if you want to help the restaurants, then pass marijuana. Then let's make recreational marijuana legal. Man, listen, DoorDash will never be so busy. DoorDash will never be so busy. There'll be a shortage on chicken wings. There'll be a shortage on chicken wings if you in the state of Ohio if they legalize recreational use of marijuana, because people don't get the munchies. They're gonna want to eat all night and all day. The Uber drivers would be so happy. Delivery drivers would be so happy. Says it's time for Ohio to legalize marijuana. Now, what about the Republican majority state legislature? How do they feel about this? How do they feel about this? If we legalize marijuana, we could invest that tax revenue right back in our communities. Really, John? Wait a minute. Did he say that if we legalize recreational marijuana, we could reinvest the tax revenue? This man's a genius. We already know that, John. The issue is who's getting the money? Who's going to be at the top of the food chain? Are Black entrepreneurs going to get paid? Are Black people going to make what we deserve off of it? That's the only question mark. Everybody knows that marijuana should be legalized recreationally. Everybody knows it. The only question is, how do you divvy it up? Who's going to get paid? But, he's running against a man with no spine and no charisma whatsoever. So something like this will probably end up being a big campaign issue. Mike DeWine has no charisma and no spine whatsoever. We could rebuild our roads and fund public education. We could expand healthcare for our communities. The General Assembly, you got to remember this, back in 2016, legalized cannabis statewide for medicinal use. That was in 2016. So now here we are 5 years later, 4 or 5 years later. And are we ready for this? You damn skippy, we ready for this. We've been ready for this, man. Telling you, y'all, keep your eyes on this, because Ohio will go legal recreational. And when they do, I want my people to be first in line. I'm talking about people love those food trucks. I'm talking about marijuana or THC inspired food trucks. What's better than what's better than a popsicle on a hot summer day? Well, a popsicle with some THC in it on a hot summer day. What's better than that? What's better than a cheese coney? Well, a cheese coney that's got some THC in the meat sauce. I'm telling you, it's going to be super stupid, dumb, crazy, thick, dumb, big in the state of Ohio. It's going to be the biggest thing anybody ever seen before. Get in line, family. Get in line. Get your shit together. Get your papers together today. Get your designs together for whatever your plan is to get some of that legal marijuana money. And when you do, all I want you to do is come back and tell us how profitable it is, how good it is. Just share some of that great experience with us. It's going to be super dumb, stupid, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, super dumb, thick. It's going to be the craziest thing ever. Because Cincinnatians love to hang out outdoors. We love to be entertained, sports or otherwise. We love to eat, and we love our DURGS. To this point in the form of alcohol, but wait until it happens. What's better than a Holtzman donut? Well, a Holtzman donut with some THC in it, motherfucker. That's what's better than it. What's better than Christina's cookies? One of those good sugar cookies they got over there. Well, a sugar cookie with some THC in it. That's what's better than it. You heard it here first. Go make it happen. Live your best life. All right, I'm going back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. This is your West Side Connection, Drop Squad 52, also known as the Black Not Democrat. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent, and thank you for holding.
Mr. Ivy, I had flashbacks back in the day because your melodic voice put me to sleep while I was on hold, and I had to hang up and call back. But it gave me flashbacks back in the day in the 90s, Mr. Ivy, when Jim Rome, and I know you know who Jim Rome is.
Oh, one of the greats.
He first started out here in California. He was on late night. And I called this show, Mr. Ivy, and I was on hold. Because you know how y'all radio guys will do. You'll make those callers wait, right? Even though it's the only person waiting. But anyway, I fell asleep. And Jim Rome was like, hello, hello. And I woke up. And I still dropped my flows. But, okay. Mr. Ivy.
That's big, man. So you got on the Jim Rome show back when back when he was in Cali? That's dope.
Yeah, he was on the Mighty 690 coming out of San Diego with Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Was huge back then.
Yeah.
And that was when Jim Rome first broke through. He was on late night. You know about that, Mr. Ivy, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you gotta get in where you can fit in. And usually that's that midnight slot. But Mr. Ivy, since this is Freestyle Friday, and I don't want to put Donetta to work, because I'm going to give her something that's not even necessary to fact check. This is a headline on USA Today, Mr. Ivy. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger calls for the firing of the Fulton County election officials. Now, do you know what that headline is about, Mr. Ivy?
No, I don't.
Well, come to find out that in the audit of the 2020 election, and again, to clear it up for some people out there who may not know, these audits are not to overturn the results of the election, but to expose the election fraud, not fraud from voters, but fraud from election officials who are implementing these COVID-19 rules without approval from the state legislators. And that's why a lot of these audits have been triggered. Now, Mr. Ivy, in Fulton County, there's proof that 36 batches of mail-in ballots were double counted. Now, this is just the beginning because, like I just read from that USA Today headline, that those election officials will be held accountable. And there's also some shenanigans that have been exposed in Maricopa County in Arizona. Now, again, Mr. Ivy, You trust it but verify it, because I know I have that ability to trigger people and make them go to work. And I got to give a shout out to Danita, because when she fact checked me on my last call, she only fact checked 2 things, and the other 3 things that I brought up that's not being done by the Democrats led by President Biden, she didn't fact check those, because those were the truth. Those pieces of legislation are not going anywhere in this session of Congress.
Is it due to the Republican opposition?
Well, you can call it what you want, Mr. Ivy, but elections have consequences.
Well, will you tell me what I should call it then? If I'm calling it the wrong thing, please correct me, brother. What do you call it?
I can't tell you what to call. I can't tell you what to think. I can only respond to what you say.
I'm not going to let you tell me what to think or call it either, but I'm just asking you, what do you call it? To me, I call it Republican opposition. What do you call it?
Well, that's politics, Mr. Ivy.
Oh, I know, but what do you call it, though, sir?
I call it the will of the people.
Oh, okay.
Of the people, for the people, and by the people. Because, see, again, Mr. Ivy, these state legislators who are following the U.S. Constitution, which is Article 1, Section 4, Mr. Ivy. Danita, you hear that, Danita? The Nathan Ivy Show fact checker. Article 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. Read what it states, Danita. Okay?
Wow.
So, again, Mr. Ivy, it's a reason that these state legislators are run by Republican majorities, because it's the will of the people.
Right, it's called gerrymandering.
It's the will of the people. Well, you can call it what you want, Mr. Ivy, but it is legal.
I don't want to make something up.
It's legal.
Let's call it what it is.
Democrats don't do zoning. They don't have set up like permanent zones where Democrats can't lose. I mean, come on, Mr. Ivy. How do you explain somebody like Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Chuck? I can go down the line of these people been in Washington for 50 years, because there's no way they can lose. They don't even have to campaign. I mean, Maxine Waters got challenged by some young black Republican out here in California. Everybody knew he had no chance, but he did it to let people know that if you start challenging some of these Democrats, that you may light a fire up their butt and make them do some work in D.C. But again, Mr. Ivy, Article 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, and the headline for the USA Today was going on in Fulton County. Also, the audit in Arizona and what they're finding in Maricopa County. These things are going to be put out there, and we already know one man is going to make sure it's out there, because it's kind of strange, Mr. Ivy, that when this story broke about Maricopa County in Arizona and Fulton County in Georgia, that all the mainstream media, the cable news networks, they were talking about this book by General Milley about how Trump lost his mind toward the end of his presidency. Because, Mr. Ivy, these are very important stories, and I know it's Friday, and I know you probably won't, but please, Mr. Ivy, just at least the USA Today story, because it's huge.
And what's the USA Today story about? What story are we talking about now?
We're talking about Fulton County, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger calls for the firing of Fulton County election officials. I mean, the story it just broke this morning.
Oh, is that right?
But we all know how the media works, because now the CDC and the people part of Biden's administration in charge of the COVID response, now they're saying that the reason black folks don't want to get vaccinated is because of mis and disinformation coming from Facebook. So now Facebook is the enemy. Now it's Facebook's fault, because they can't blame Trump, because all these social media outlets, they kick Trump off social media. So they can't blame Trump for so-called misinformation or disinformation. So again, Mr. Ivy, it's Freestyle Friday, and I just wanted to throw that out there. I ain't going to take too much longer. And Donetta, you have a good weekend. If you want to get your call in to fact check me, please do. But our politically petty host, Glenn from Mason, who really don't have a podcast, he can't call in again. So his ass been silenced. And I think that might be my new tactic, is to call in after Glenn. Drop Squad 52. Dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Be safe in them streets, people. Peace.
Weird science. Dropping weird science for anybody that wants to catch it. He didn't add that. I'm looking at this article, man. I mean, what am I supposed to make of this drop? This man makes he makes a mountain out of a molehill, doesn't he? I don't even know what to make of that story, man. But thank you for sharing it, brother. This is a Freestyle Friday. You can get your freestyle on. Feel free. It is what it is. Good morning to you. This dude. You know, the CDC is saying that people coming together and doing family gatherings and traveling during July 4th led to an upswing, an uptick. It's double the amount of nationwide COVID cases, right? So now we got to look forward to the next holidays. Like, what are your plans for Memorial Day? It's coming up here in September. What are your plans for Thanksgiving? Right? Coming up soon, not too far away in the end of November. Before you know it, it'll be Thanksgiving. And of all the holidays, Thanksgiving, I think especially in Christmas, or when people really like to travel and be with family and things like that. So you got to start thinking ahead about what your plans are going to be. Gayle King, everybody loves Gayle King. Remember Gayle King? Gayle King said recently in an interview with Dr. Fauci that she is going to ban unvaccinated family members from her annual Thanksgiving vacation. So you ain't vaccinated, you ain't coming on vacation with me. And you know what? I'm not mad at her. I mean, listen, if she would have said the opposite, it would have made no difference to me either. I think that, you know, you got every right to determine how you want to. I don't think there's anything unfamily about it at all. You know what I'm saying? If you got a family member and they don't want to get vaccinated, you have every right to say that they're not coming on the annual Thanksgiving vacation. Matter of fact, is it wrong to bar a family member that's unvaccinated to come into your house for family Thanksgiving? Like, raise your hand if your home is like the primary site where everybody comes to gather for Thanksgiving. So I'm talking to you. What's going to be your rules? Is it wrong to tell a family member, like, look, you ain't been vaccinated? You might have a family member who don't believe in vaccinations. I ain't getting no damn vaccination. Okay, I can't stop you. But you can't come to my house. You ain't coming to my house. I mean, you know, is there anything wrong with that? I'd like to get your thoughts about it. 513-873-7134. We got to think about these things, family. You know, you're supposed to be bringing a potato salad, not the Delta variant of the virus. You said you was bringing tater salad with no mustard. And you walk in here with the Delta of coronavirus. We can't have that. Got that bottle of wine for you. Got some sweet potatoes, and I got the Delta variant for you as well. You'll get very sick over the next couple of weeks. Come on in, family. How many people are still not doing family gatherings this year? I'm just curious. I'm just taking a Friday people poll. Want to know how people feel on a Friday. How do you feel about this? Are you going to be traveling during Memorial Day and Thanksgiving and Christmas? Or did you decide, you know what? This is a year ender for me. I'm going to maintain this for the end of the year. You tell me. I'd like to know. I don't know. Whatever you think. Dare writes, the difference is my job don't have the ability to take a life. David writes, be sure to give Junior his vibranium tablet. A little boy. Last couple of days, we haven't been working on his basketball skills because he's been too tired. Now, this is water week. It is summer camp, so they go into the pool every day. And what we observed is on water day, he must be going super hard. You know, it's funny, man. We out there playing b-ball. He can't last 30 minutes. If he out in the sun and he having fun with some water, he could be out there all day. You remember that. I've loved it. He coming home tired every day, passing out. Not passing out, but falling asleep way earlier than usual. That's summer. That's what a summer camp's supposed to be. I have DoorDash stock. Eat up, choppers. The lawsuit says that the CCA investigator, Ikiki, selectively turns on and off the video. Why is that? Why shouldn't the interview and administrative process be fully recorded? # all middle. I don't really care if he's turning off the video. Who knows? He might be turning it off to protect the officer. Who knows why? The root of the question is are Cincinnati police officers being railroaded by CCA? And the answer is a resounding no, it is not. So Dan Hills can play these games and black gullible people can play into them if they want to, but the rest of us are too smart for this dumb ish. We ain't going for it. We ain't going for it. Angela writes, Nate, do you smoke? No, I do not. Black Russia writes, sex, drugs, and hip hop, hashtag alt middle. Brent writes, Nate, do you have an open invitation for Dan Hills to call your show, or is only his lackeys allowed to call in? Dan Hills can call. He's aware of the show. He doesn't like the show. He doesn't like me. He thinks that we're anti-police. Last time I talked to him, and I thought it was very interesting just to get a chance to see where his man's head was. What he showed us is that he's 100% on some dumb shit all the time. So if you're not a media outlet that believes everything he says and rubber stamps every word he says and kisses his ass and all this kind of stuff, then he's automatically going to assume, or he's going to say, oh, you're anti-police and all this kind of dumb shit. So, there it is. Queen Maxine White, smoking weed is good for anxiety. Well, adults do what adults do. Rika B writes, good morning. Good to see you, Rika. Mrs. Love Being Black writes, good morning, happy Friday, fellow beautiful, smart people. OGs, here comes drop. When is alt middle going to let drop into their clubhouse? They're never going to let them back in because they're not really a pro-brother kind of group. They're not really pro-brothers. If they really were, they would embrace him, but they don't like him like that. Caramel writes, get him, Danita. He called out Danita a lot, didn't he? The new Chop Shop fact checker. Dale writes, Nate, please limit his lies. I can't limit the man's lies. Pamela writes, we all know how Trump propaganda machine works too. They lie just like drop. Tricky Trump never had in a mind, period. That man irks my nerves. Pamela writes, I don't think Danita needs your permission to call in. She does not. Labor Day. Right. I said Memorial Day. Labor Day. Thank you. Labor Day. Drip is so nothing to say about your Lord and Savior Donald Trump cozying up to the Russians and his secret Chinese bank accounts. Keisha Duck writes, make them wear a mask. Everybody may not get it during the trial stage. Right. At least wear a mask. Let me see. And nobody can stop you from wearing a mask. Like if you want to wear a mask at your family's house, can't nobody stop you from doing that. Go ahead and wear a mask. If your family don't like it, so what? They'll get over it. Beth writes, yep, my grandson loves summer camp. Wore they both out. Missed it this year and last. Felt bad for them. Yeah, it's wearing my son out. He is worn out and we love it. He going to bed earlier, sleeping all through the night. Anybody got a 6-year-old, that's a good thing. And he's growing. It's great for his social development and his physical development. Fulton County, I don't want to read this. I don't give a damn about that Fulton County judge, man. So what? Let me play this one more time because I'm into it. And I want to get your thoughts about it. This young girl who is dealing with neighbors that she says are racist. And again, I want you to give me your advice. Like, what would you do? What would you do in a situation like this? Have you ever had neighbors that was on some dumb-ish? Have you ever had racist neighbors? You ever had Karens and or Darrens that lived next door to you or close to you, and for whatever reason, they was focusing on you for whatever reason? This young woman put this on TikTok. I'll play it again. I know we talk about a lot of things today, but I'll play it again for you. Check this out.
Racist neighbors. Let me flip the camera. They have put a bunch of devils and gods of things that my family believes in as Hindus on their window to mock us. We've installed random cameras that face our property here as well. They have thrown disgusting bugs into our garage, walking onto our property. These are called Japanese beetles, and they've been throwing them in bags filled with water into our house, like under our car. Today, they went to our soil supply and they tore it, and they threw rocks all around this side path we have beside our house. Also today, they threw this huge stack of weeds all over the front of our driveway because of something so stupid. Well, you must be thinking we have done something, but actually, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, this lady found our neighbor. She found a bunch of nails on her driveway, and she came to us going like, "Oh, I don't know where these nails are coming from. I'm scared because my kids will trip over them." And keep in mind, her kids are like 12 and 8 or something like that. They're not super young where they're stupid, but they're still pretty young. And she found a bunch of nails on them, which, like, first off, like, what's the worst that can happen? You step on it. But what she told us was, like, the nail might flip up, it's gonna get jammed in our car, and then if we drive away and then we get a flat tire, we'll drive into something else and then we'll die. So she blamed my dad for that because he intentionally did it when he had no motive or no reason at all. And then he said my mom was sitting beside her while he was throwing the nails. Again, doesn't make any sense. The police refused to do anything about it, so I'm here on TikTok to try and get your advice. What should I do?
What should she do? Number one, get your video up. Get your video camera up. That way, if somebody's coming on your property throwing some shit, you got a video record. You can send that to the cops. You can send that to the courts. That's admissible evidence. That's number one. I say start right there. No, some people can get real petty about different shit. Like we got, let's say some friends of ours that we heard about this story. It might be true. And this friend of ours owns a home. And she was complaining that somebody was letting their dog use their front yard like it's like some kind of dog park. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's a dog bathroom or something. So allegedly, this friend of ours, hypothetically, grabbed a bag, picked up the dog-ish, went back to the people's house and threw it on their door. Allegedly, hypothetically. I don't know anything. Okay? Allegedly, hypothetically, has happened. And when I was told about it, I thought, that seems about fair. That seems about fair. Now, whoever was doing this is going to think twice about doing it in people's yards. So I'm a big person, like neighbors. If your neighbor put up a surveillance camera facing you, I would find it irresistible for me not to do the exact same thing. I would not be able to not do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And if you feel like people are coming on your yard and your property, put up a little surveillance camera, man. You can get a cheap one for, these things are so cheap these days. You can get a cheap one real easy. I mean, a few $100s. You might be able to find a cheaper one, cheaper than that. Night vision, the whole 9 yards. You can install it on your phone. It could be like motion operated. Somebody walks within the vicinity of the camera turns on, starts recording. They even got them where they're like not even battery operated, like they're solar operated. You can't even beat that. That's the first thing I would do. Evidence, man. You got to have the evidence. Start right there. Queen Maxine writes, that Indian family is probably racist toward black people as well, period. Still, demons are always and about. Damn. She gonna flip it on them. I'm gonna flip it. Oh, was it? Kiki writes, can't hear it. Oh, okay. You couldn't hear it? Couldn't hear the video? Huh. The reason why they don't want Dan Hills to record is because the CCA wants one authentic recording. Dan Hills could possibly alter his recording. Right, Janice. Yeah, it's very obvious why they don't want him recording. Because, number one, Dan Hills isn't trustworthy. You know, he'll blow the integrity of the investigation and put it out there if he thinks it benefits him and his politics. That's why. And I think Janice has something as well. Like they want to have one recording, have control of the narrative. I get it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care if you're recording or not recording. If I'm not doing anything wrong, what difference does it make? Absolutely none whatsoever. Zero. Let me see here. Wow. Damn, that's interesting. COVID outbreak at Miamisburg camp hits 44 churches. So a bunch of people went to camp and then went back and then took it back to their churches. I'm telling you folks, COVID is still here. It's not over. It's not over. Videos are evidence. So when you put them pause on them for being disrespectful, you got your evidence of harassment that you kept trying to get the police to get involved with. Exactly. You don't say that, but exactly. Jerome writes, this is just the beginning of this virus. Let's see how things are going in 3 years. Be safe, everyone. Don't fall for the BS. Every day is something new. Jerome's a smart person. Rachel writes, she needs cameras and an attorney. She doesn't seem too wise, going on TikTok wanting people to be outraged without evidence. Drop writes, the discovery of such errors like double counting of mail-in ballots only highlights the underlying issues within the American voting system. GOP state legislators are passing election legislation. Oh, man, you going to play into that? You play gullible black men. Here's another gullible black man. So now you want to try to legitimize what the Republican Party is doing state by state, which is essentially trying to legally rig the election laws in their favor. But you want to justify that. Please stop. Please stop. Brent writes, you can use one of your old cell phones with the app called Alfred as a video surveillance system. Detects motion even at night. Really? I had no idea. Really? Sean writes, feed the dog some hamburger with e-locks. Boom. That could get messy. That can get messy. I might have asked the wrong people for advice, actually. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Oh, man. Hey, listen, folks, I really appreciate you. It's been a blast. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. If you're around on Facebook at about 12:30 show, make sure you plug in to the Is It Just Me podcast with Donnie B. She'll be talking about numerous topics today, including the gun violence, the response from the community, among other things. Always a lot of fun and informative. If you like strong opinions, you'll get a strong opinion. If you like black media, this is black media. And I'll talk with you real soon. All right. Have an excellent Friday. Matter of fact, don't forget tomorrow, our community, our voice, Cincinnati NAACP block party from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It'll be in Avondale, at the corner of Reading Road and Rockdale. Now, this is a family-friendly event. Food trucks, entertainment, bouncy house. That's going to bring the kids out. You could put a bouncy house in the middle of hell, and kids will want to be on it. You could put it in the middle of a briar patch. Kids will want to be in it. You could put a bouncy house anywhere. You could put a bouncy house on the dark side of the moon, and children will still want to be in it. It's just something about bouncy houses. They can get their face painted and then get in the bouncy house and then go to the food truck. And then there's music. Come on now. It's going to be a blast. Make sure you check them out. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our community, our voice, the Cincinnati NAACP's first block party is going to be over in Avondale. Have an excellent rest of your Friday. We'll catch up real soon. Remember our motto. Say it together now. Even over the weekend, winners, focus on winning. Losers, focus on winners. Stay focused, stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. I'm out.